Hi. Starting this podcast, I was in my mind. It was supposed to be like one a day, and then it kind of just started spacing out because motivation is such a odd thing. That's why it started so long for me to even do one episode because this has been an idea I wanted to do for like over a year, and it's just the motivation just keeps going away, and it's it's odd because you don't know if necessarily what you're doing is even worth the time and energy, like you can be like, oh, I'm doing this later, and then you don't end up doing it because out of sight, out of mind. And it's just i I get into this habit of like having a consistent schedule of, oh, I'm gonna do this, oh, I'm gonna do that, and then the chance of me actually following through with it is just not great. But I'm here, I'm back, and it dawned on my mind how much I kind of go into these wind spirals of like, is this the right thing to do? Is this something that I should be doing? Because your subconscious is like, oh, I could be doing something so much better, or I could be doing this or that. You always try to find something to kind of like push the idea that, oh, this is what I'm gonna do. Oh, I'm gonna do this, and then you do it, and everything works out completely, or you just fumble it because it's like it's either too much work or you don't really see the worth in it. And a big thing that I really want to talk to you guys about is the concept of doing the right thing, or just doing anything really. Like, this is again another deal of me rambling, but doing the right thing to you and doing the right thing to someone else is not the same thing. And that's why the word, oh, this is the right thing to do, is so convoluted into the perspective of a single individual, because some people will think this is the right thing to do when in actuality it's this, or this is the right thing but it's actually this. You either jump over a barrel and you hit your nuts, or you kick the barrel over and then you jump over it, and the chance of you hitting your balls are less. But subsequently, you also, if there's anything inside of that barrel, you just fucking damaged it. And so that's what I was getting onto about in it might be good to someone else, but when it comes to like to what or to you, but when it comes to someone else, it could be a whole different image. Like, the amount of times that I've been shoved in the face of like, is this the right thing for you and not the right thing to someone else? Because no matter what, someone's gonna think what you're doing is the wrong decision. Someone's gonna think what you're doing isn't good, or isn't good enough to put your energy into, or just enough to give a rat's, right? It's very, it starts kind of messing up your head if you think about it into the idea of like, okay, this person thinks this is a bad idea. This is why they think this is a bad idea. This is why is a good idea. And even when you put yourself in like a pro and con kind of convolute, it kind of it kind of melts. It melts downwards, and you don't really know what is actually the moral right decision. What's gonna help you, because your morality and someone else's morality is not the same thing. And that's just how it is. Cannibalism is bad to someone's eyes, but it could be like, it could be the next thing to steak or just something regular, and that to them would be morally good to eat. And this is like the worst example known to man, because I don't really think before I speak, but you kind of get the idea. And it kind of starts like swallowing you a little bit as you're going about it in your head, because now you're just like, okay, is what I'm doing right here going to lead me to satisfaction later on in life? And the answer to that is making the best out of what you really have is the only thing that's really going to keep you going. Because subsequently, the only thing, like I said, you're not going to get, satisfaction unless you do something, for yourself. If you just sit there and wait for it to happen, it's either going to take longer or it's just not going to happen. Like, for me, this is just me, flowing out all personal experience. Bam! But I lived with someone for over a year, and it was very, very toxic, very controlling, very, you know, I, I am not trying to replace, who took care of you, but at the same time, here I am replacing who took care of you. And you kind of think to yourself, you have the opportunity to leave. Should I take that opportunity because it will help me? Or is this just good for me right now? Or, a lot of thinking goes into situations like that because your brain is so worried, or at least for me, I'm so worried about, what's the worst that can come out of this situation, and that really messes you up because it could be either way. You don't really know, and this is why I'll be honest, I have a big fear of the future, like not knowing what's to happen. That is horrifying, and the biggest thing about it more so is just how do I word it? You need to get you need to think about it in the best light and try to navigate that steering wheel to it, because if you don't and you end up just kind of trapping yourself, then it's not going to go the way you're wanting it to go. It's gonna explode. And the best way to go about it is to settle down, breathe, and just go forward, move forward, and don't look back. That sounds really bad on certain situations, but for the one that I had to do to get to a better place, you had to roll your dice and you had to keep moving. Like when you're playing Sorry, or you're playing Monopoly or whatever, you always move forward after you roll the dice. You don't move back unless you sit on a spot that makes you move back, but then that's just where it lands. I'm using a board game philosophy to kind of like stick into someone's head that the only way you're moving back is if you let it move back. You put your character on that little square and it says move back 3 spaces. Fuck you! I'll move 3 spaces forward, because in real life you can't move back. You can't go back. And as much as sometimes it's probably desirable, what you need to also think about is this is what's going to be best for me, and this is what I have. So I'm just going to go for it like that. I'm going to this is what's going to make me happy. This is what I need to do, and I'm going to do it. Even if it kind of backfires and shits on you later. Right now, like the present is really your most. I'm guessing, like I'm trying to figure out how to word it. It's what you're gonna need. It's what you're gonna need to get all of this, to get all of your life futures to a succeeding path, and to just keep going. Because if you don't, and you stop and you start worrying too much about it, then you're going to just blow yourself away and crumble everything. And I think what needs to happen when it comes to thinking, oh, here's these life changing decisions, what if it goes wrong, is to not even care, because maybe it might, maybe it will, and you just kind of have to move forward from that either way, because no one's going to tell you to do it unless you go for an entire monologue about your situation, which not a lot of people really want to do. And I just think the idea of putting yourself into boxing yourself into a corner in which you can't really escape from unless you really really dive into it, it's just not healthy. It's not healthy. And you just need to make the first move yourself, even if you think maybe this isn't the best thing. Just do it, because by the end of the day, your future is going to depend on how you move forward and what you do. Even if it's the bad decision, even when you're told by so many people you can't do this, for the best of you to not do it. And that's another thing that I'll get into in a little bit, but you just need to keep striving forward. And I don't know who I'm necessarily talking to with this, and I don't know exactly who needs to hear this or who wants to even hear this, because there's also pre-programmed like reassurance that your brain kind of forms up. That's why stuff like hotlines are really, they go by the books. Like you're not really hearing genuine words to you know most degree. I'm not saying every operator goes just by book. Maybe some of them talk, through their heart, but the chances of that are not the highest. And it's just very, you just kind of, it becomes a, oh sorry, it becomes a bit of a stopping point. It becomes a stopping point in which you are losing that motivation because nobody's giving you that motivation that, hey, you can do this. You can do this. You can get out of this abusive situation. You can get out of this neglectful situation. You can get out of this very toxic, relationship, household, family member, whatever. And and your brain will go, no, but they're family. But I can't leave them because they're family. And no, it's different. It's not different. That's the thing. When it comes to, you know, what's right, it's what's right by you. What's right by you is the most important factor in this whole entire synopsis. Even if it's stuff like, the person that I live with, shuts me down, compares me to this person, thinks that they're better than me, or wants to morph me into someone that I'm not. That is, and if it gets too much in your brain, just like, I just want to get out of here, but you really can't find a way to do it, you just get up and go. When someone gives you an opportunity, take it, because that could save your life. And just from experience, that can save your life. And again, I don't know if anyone even really needs to hear this, but it's whatever your gut is telling you to do. Sorry, if you're hearing a car, that's my apologies. I'm in a patio, but take it. Do what you want, even if people shut you down and say no because it could be like this, or it could be this bad, it could be that bad. You don't really know how it's going to go unless it happens, and one of the biggest factors in terms of what makes life kind of like, ooh, you know that's so interesting. Ooh, is just is just the is just the sheer mysterious obstacle that is, what life kind of flows at you. Like, you get a new job, and that job doesn't really look good for you, and then you leave it and you go somewhere else that is better for you. You wouldn't have found that job that was better for you until you left the one that was already bad. If there is a spot where you are in literally hell itself, get out of there, because the only person that's keeping yourself there is you. And there could be excuse like, oh, it's not that easy, this is all I really have. But have you actually tried looking for better, or have you just settled down and shit and just kind of said, all right, this is my life now? Because then of course your life's gonna be miserable if that's what you're gonna think, because you're not really taking into account what could be. you know that's what I've learned. It's just when people shit you and just shoot you down, get up and keep going. Like, it's roller skating, if you think about it. Roller skating, when you first start, you fall a lot. When you're going to like a skating ring, and like, for example, Interstate in Louisville in Texas, like, this is just from example from what I know, but when you're going in that circle and you fall, what do? Do you give up? Do you crawl out? Do you, just sit there and wait till the devil swallows you whole? No. You get up and you keep going. You get up and you don't stop until you physically can't keep going. And there's a lot of people that think they physically can't. When they physically can, they just don't see the maximum in it. They don't see the full potential of themselves, and so they shoot themselves down. And that's what makes the human, I guess, magical in a way, is people's sheer determination to keep going, their sheer determination to move forward, press onwards, even when it looks like ass. You keep going, and that's what's gonna get you to your end goal. That's what's gonna get you an apartment if you save up enough. If you go into like a shelter, which is not, something to be embarrassed by, as much as you've probably been told that, and much as I've been told that, the using those shelters and having a place and saving up the money and then saving that up for a very long period of time. And it's going to require a lot of self control in terms of the money you have and in terms of, how long it'll be, and just a lot of momentum patience, almost like making a Minecraft Krusty Krab in a 2 hour long Minecraft tutorial. It becomes worth it in the end, because you'll thank yourself, and from the past, for being able to put themselves through that sheer stress in order to bring yourself that better life. Because you're not going to do it. Nobody's going to give you that. Nobody's going to give you a key to an apartment and say, you earned it, buddy, when all you've been doing is just sitting down and going from job to job. The only way to really get your stuff and really get yourself, like, in that good headspace is to shoot forward and not stop, because the moment you stop is the moment you're betraying yourself. You just keep going because that's all that's there. You just keep going because there's nothing behind you anymore. You keep going because that's the best your life will ever give you. And that's the best that you can give life, is your own sheer devoted energy into moving yourself to that future. And there's a lot of people that are like, and sorry, I know, very odd thing I'm about to say here, but people are like, you can't do all this, you can't do it all. You have to have God on your side. You have to have, and to, if that's what brings you comfort, sure. But like the people that don't believe into Christianity or Catholic or just God Himself, you are your own vessel. You are your own vessel into bringing yourself the greatest life that you could give yourself, and the greatest headspace that you can give for other people, so that way you're not bringing them down when you're not even meaning to. And the best way to go about it is say it with me now. You get off your ass and do it yourself. Yeah, yeah. And it'll pay off. It's not gonna feel like a lot right now, because it's not instant gratification, at least for me. Like, yeah, for me it's gonna feel very redundant and not really like anything. But give it a year or two, and oh my god, you're gonna be thanking yourself. You're gonna be thanking yourself for that. You're putting yourself in a lot better position. And even when things look like you're like shit nothing, like you literally, there was a time, and it wasn't long. I keep saying like it's like this has been a long, it's probably like a couple hours at best, where I was in a spot where I had nothing. I was walking, I had a blanket around me and a coat and a beanie, and obviously the clothes that you need essentially to socially be outside. But you just kind of keep walking in the dark. And then you just walk against traffic, and you just feel like your life is falling apart and you have nothing now, and all you have is just you. And you think you put yourself in a spot where that's all you are now, because you think you're just like one of the homeless. You think you have nothing now. You feel like a homeless shelter probably won't take you because it's God knows how far, and you just think this is the end of my life, when in actuality it's not the end of your life, but this is the end of that chapter in your life. This is the beginning of a new. This is the start of something that, if you use it correctly, you can make it the best life you could ever have. But that all starts with, again, self-motivation, self-accomplishments, and your own volition to actually get up and do the things that you want to do. And this is going to be, not as long as the first episode, but I just want people to understand that, and I guess to some extent me, because I'm hearing myself talk about this, but you can do it, even if everybody looks at you and says, no, you can't. You can't do it, you need help, you need this, you need that. While resources are great, the only one that can really put those resources into effect is you. And that's what this is all about. That's what life is. 42. The meaning of life is experience. The meaning of life is laughter, crying, anger, frustrations. You know, inner peace is just not wanting to blow your head off every other minute. Inner peace is what you want inner peace to be. And the best way to put it is just take it one step at a time and move forward. Even if you feel like it's not leading anywhere, I promise you, you get money, you get paid, you save that, you save all of that, you save all of that money that you built from like a year or two, and you're gonna put yourself in a really, really good position into which you can pay off, an apartment a couple months, so that way you have a few months of just cushion, so you can just worry about the bills that you have, and every now and again you can just start paying ahead, so you don't have to worry about rent when it's due, and just appreciate the spot that you're in. If you are in like a shelter, a living group, a friend's place, even if you're like couch surfing, which again, I know what you're going through, if that's who you are. You just kind of, you go get it, you can do it. You can do it, and don't let any motherfucker say that you can't, because they're lying. All right.